lights and cameras and mirrors.
Hey, it's your boy, Auteur Deluxe. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my top 10 of 2020, and in true 2020 fashion, it kind of looks like a Zoom call, and it is wide though. It's a very wide shot, which is great. Makes me look somewhat less enormous. Always down for that. I should preface this video by saying I'm not like an every movie kind of guy. You always see those people that they just go to the theater like every weekend and just see anything. Or you see those people on film Twitter just posturing like, oh my god, I saw Mank first. Oh my god, I saw Tenet 8 times in theaters. I'm now on a ventilator. You see those kind of people, and I'm not one of those. I see things at my own pace. If it's something I really want to see and it happens to come out that year, the year that you're in, then obviously I'll go see it, but I can wait for home video for the most part, and I'm always catching up on old things. That's the thing with film, is you can go all the way into it and still never get to the end of it. There's plenty of shit I want to see. Sometimes it's in 2020, sometimes it's in the year that we're in, sometimes it's not. So yeah, Mank isn't on my list, Tenet isn't on my list. I'm not really a Fincher guy or a Nolan guy. I mean, those were formative guys when I was a teenager, and that's not to be condescending, but I mean, Memento was big for me when I was a teenager. Seven was big. Fight Club was very big. But I haven't given a shit what either of those dudes do in like the past 13 years. I saw Dark Knight Rises like under duress, and X made me see it. I don't regret it. I thought it was fine. Truly don't understand the like nonstop love for it, even 11 years later, 10 years. When did it come out? Same thing with Fincher. I just think his movies look kind of washed out in that blue-black, and I don't care about the Facebook movie. I don't care about Zodiac. I'm not sitting through 3 hours of that. I did go back and watch The Game this year. I enjoyed that. But yeah, just those two guys specifically, don't really care. Not pressed to see their movies this year. So, I mean, eventually we'll see them, and I'll review them then or bring them up then. But for now, Mank is not on my list. Don't care. I still haven't seen Citizen Kane. Probably should see that. I'm not going to rush, so I have the first snappy review on Letterboxd. Like, yes, Queen, Mank, ugh. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, even like First Cow, I didn't see First Cow yet. Saint Maud, I don't even know if that's available. What's that other one? Green Knight, whatever that is. I haven't seen that either. So, out of what I saw, these are my top 10 of 2020. Thank you. Number 10 is Palm Springs. I thought this was a very impressive debut. For a debut film, this gets top marks. It was a fine little rom-com kind of sci-fi thing. It was a nice little mix of those things, and I enjoyed it. Number 9 was Shirley. This movie, the story is kind of a mess. Like, it's a fictional book about a real writer that was adapted into a movie. So it's a movie about a book that's fictional about a real person. So story, it didn't really work for me on all levels, and the whole message of that movie went completely over my head about like female agency and that whole thing. Had to get woman-splained about that. But I thought it was great. I loved the aesthetics. I thought Elizabeth Moss was great. I just loved the way it looked. It's a lot of handheld camera. That always reminds me of Breaking the Waves, or even just like the Wonder Years. Just that home video look really adds a level of intimacy, and it worked in this movie. And visually, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. 8 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Yeah, I was ready for this one. I love Jim Cummings. I'm kind of more excited to see him do anything else like this, but this was fun. This is kind of like the Trey Edward Schultz It Comes at Night thing. Like, you're so good at mining these very emotional characters. You're so good at these like heartfelt, like fully brimming over with emotion stories, but you're doing a horror thing. Like, that's fine too, and I really did enjoy it. And like, the whole werewolf, but it's Fargo and funny characters. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I'm not trying to shit on it. But I can't wait to see what else he does. Number 7 is Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets. This is a weird one. I only saw it because it was on Vinegar Syndrome. I saw them post about it, and I looked and I said, what is this movie? And it's basically like kind of a faux reality documentary thing where you really don't know how much of it's real, or at least I don't know how much of it's real. I know there are actors in it. but it follows some patrons, some regulars at a dive bar, and you just kind of watch their night. The whole movie is their night. There's not really a beginning, middle, and end, but it goes through a range of emotions. There's vicious moments, there's really sad moments, there's funny moments, there's really heartfelt moments. And for me, as a person that quit drinking and I can't go to bars anymore, this is kind of like those videos for dogs, or like that TV channel for dogs, where it's just like, I don't know, throwing tennis balls on the screen or whatever it is, like birds chirping and shit. So I can get the experience and vicariously go to a bar without going to a bar. It kind of really works for me. I did buy the physical copy and I like it. I can't wait to watch it again. I know I'm going to watch this a bunch of times. So yeah, that was a good one. Number 6 was The Five Bloods. The Five Bloods. The Five Bloods. Is it a Z? I don't remember. This was a Spike Lee joint. It was long. It wasn't like incredible. It wasn't even one of my favorite Spike Lee movies that I've seen. But the performance by Delroy Lindo and the late Chadwick Boseman, both of those performances are amazing. Chadwick Boseman almost steals the movie in just a few small appearances. And it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. This movie tries to do a lot, and I really respect that. I thought it was just going to be like a Las Vegas bucket list, like old guy movie. And it had elements of that, but there's action. Like, it's an action movie. All the action is not past tense in this movie, even though there are older characters. So I enjoyed it, and I wish it was a little shorter. I am excited to see Delroy Lindo if there's any award buzz from that performance. Number 5 is Horse Girl. I'm really surprised more people don't talk about this movie. The costume design was amazing. It was a real mind-bendy movie in a way that works. And just the surreal elements, the portrayal of mental illness, and it really just straddles the line of surreal, like very surreal. You don't know what's real. You're kind of plumbing the depths of mental illness. But also, it's scary, it's abstract, it's a very arty movie, and like I said, the costume design is great. I don't want to say too much and give too much away, but I'm very surprised. The fact that movie's on Netflix and they kind of splash everything out on their front page all the time, really surprised more people aren't talking about Horse Girl. It's a movie I think about a lot. Different aspects of that movie pop into my head a lot. Number 4 is Happy Happy Joy Joy, and yes, this is a Ren and Stimpy documentary. This is one that I followed on Facebook for, I think, 3 or 4 years, and it finally came out this year. And I was kind of worried because John Kay, the creator of Ren and Stimpy, John Krasinski, whatever his name is. No, that's the guy from The Office. Well, John Kay, he had some accusations, and I was really worried that this movie might not come out. He had some really kind of grim accusations. And I was worried this movie wouldn't come out. I think they went an interesting route in kind of addressing it, but definitely not condoning it, definitely condemning it. But it became part of the movie, and it's a very interesting, very 2020 thing on separating the art from the artist. It dealt a lot with just the life of an artist, the life of a creative, and he was a tyrant and he was an asshole. He's not dead. He is a tyrant and is an asshole. And it didn't shine him in the best light, even though this documentary was like praising Ren and Stimpy. It's showing Ren and Stimpy's influence on basically every cartoon that came out after it, and kind of the rise and fall, just how that first season was so great, and he had these great grand visions of what he wanted to do with the show, and him kind of protecting his art and fighting with the studio, and eventually getting fired. And then when Ren and Stimpy tried to come back on like Flash Player in the early 2000s, and it was horrible. And then he ran with some other shitty side character and thought that was the idea. Really good documentary. I really highly recommend it because I know it was like a Indiegogo Kickstarter thing. So definitely shell over a couple bucks and watch that one because it's really good. Number 3 is The Way Back. This is not the old one, obviously, because we're doing a 2020 list. But there are 2 movies called The Way Back. There's one with Colin Farrell escaping like a Serbian prison. And there is this one where it's Ben Affleck and he is a drunk basketball coach. And it's the director that did Miracle, the movie about the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 Lake Placid USA Olympic win, ice hockey Olympic win. So it's that director, so you know he can weave a good sports movie, and he did. It's a really good sports movie. It works as a drunk movie. I like redemption drunk movies, and it is very formulaic in its sports moviness, but in its drunk moviness, it's not necessarily all it doesn't necessarily go the complete way you think it's going to go. Like sometimes people don't get better and there are relapses, and they tackle that, and the performance is great because guess what, Ben Affleck is an alcoholic. So real recognize real. This alcoholic recognizes that alcoholic in that movie, and it worked for me. I understand this is probably uncharacteristically high on the list, but those are the movies I like because you like what you relate to. So I relate to that. And again, it's this movie's not winning any awards, but it was an above average sports movie and a pretty good drunk movie, and his performance was really good. It's one of the better things I've seen him in. Number two is Possessor. This one I really need to see again. I saw it once. It was a shitty bootleg, and I still really enjoyed it. There are really great practical effects that I wish there were more of in the movie. That's my only gripe. But this really works kind of on that Inception level of a sci-fi thing that you really buy into and you really think could be real. Just like an artistic vision coming to fruition, like it really works. You can tell it's David Cronenberg's kid, and he's definitely doing his own thing because Cronenberg is done with body horror, I guess. I don't know what he's been doing the last 20 years, but this one, it's a visionary movie. And number one is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This is one I was waiting for. I read the book this time last year, and in anticipation, I also read Foe by the same author. I forget his name. But yeah, good author. Really liked the book. Really liked the movie. It kind of strays from the book, but that's okay. I like otherwise, why adapt it? Like you could adapt it, but get like Ron Howard. If you're gonna go for someone like Charlie Kaufman to adapt your book, you should expect it to be a little out there, and it is. And it definitely requires a rewatch because the first time I saw it, the only time I saw it, I am just sitting there kind of comparing notes with the book. And I did enjoy it though. I think Jesse Plemons is really good. I like him in almost everything I see him in, but I do think he gets a lot of mileage out of being particularly vicious and kind of like an incel, and that's basically what he plays in this movie to a T. I mean, I've seen him in The Irishman, I've seen him in Other People, I've seen him in The Master, obviously, but the thing that really sticks out is Black Mirror. That episode with him in Black Mirror is really where he kind of made a mark for me, and he's definitely not like typecast, but I think when he goes to that level of just viciousness and mean and kind of dark, that's where he really does well. And I think just as a Charlie Kaufman movie, this checks all the boxes. And I think another thing with Charlie Kaufman is you kind of don't really consider his humor a lot of the time. And this year I rewatched Synecdoche, New York, and I tried to read his book, Ant Kind. And Ant Kind is just kind of a run-on sentence, kind of goofing on like PC culture and cancel culture and that whole thing, and shitting on other directors, and it's hilarious. And the same thing with Synecdoche, New York. That movie, when you consider the humor, when you take into account the fact that Caden is a bad artist, that movie takes on a different, you kind of see it through a different lens. It's obviously this very depressing movie, very misanthropic character, very oppressively, that movie is a downer. But when you take into account that this big, gigantic production play that Caden is trying to put forth is bad, it kind of makes the movie a little funny. I think he wrote for Get a Life, or he had something to do with Get a Life. So there is comedy in there. Like when I first saw Being John Malkovich, I thought, yeah, Kaufman wrote this, but it's funny because of Spike Jonze. Anyway, there's a little bit of that in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. For instance, that shitty rom-com that the janitor is watching. Like, it's just funny that he's shitting on that. A lot of the dialogue in this movie is very dense, and I need to watch it again. I definitely need to watch it again, because that scene about a woman under the influence, and it's kind of all over the place, and kind of like a monologue from the main woman character. I should know her name, but I do not. And yeah, this requires a rewatch, but most Kaufman movies, you're not really in the mood to rewatch them anytime soon. I really like this, but I'm really bad at articulating why I like it. That's why I never did a review for it, and you're kind of seeing that now. But for me, checks all the boxes of a coffin movie. Very depressing, very cryptic. That whole scene, the whole dinner scene, is very odd. And just the fact that time is kind of speeding up, and you see the mom, Toni Collette character, like she's kind of okay, and then she's young, and then she's old. And just the casting here, David Thewlis is great, Jesse Plemons, Toni Collette. Yeah, this movie had a lot going on for it, in my opinion. I really liked it. It's very cryptic, very weird, but I do think it pays off, and I do think it has a lot of merits, and artistically, it is doing some heavy lifting, and I like that. That's one of my favorite things. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, even though it's barely about the channel. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and don't follow me driving because then you'll probably find out where I live. Thank you, good night, and stay hydrated.